So this year we saw a pretty big shift in the gaming mouse market, a lot more lightweight options at lower price points, as well as just more competition and better mice in general. Right now you have so many decent options when it comes to finding a great gaming mouse that it really is hard to choose the right one because there just are so many. So today we are breaking down the best of the best. This list will mostly focus on the best gaming mice specifically for first-person shooters, as that's where your choice is a lot more critical, as your mouse choice directly affects your aim. Now this won't be a generic top 5 or top 10 list because when it comes to finding the best gaming mouse for you, there's always a lot more than just picking the top gaming mouse on someone else's list or what a specific pro player is using. We all have different sized hands and we all have different preferences when it comes to how we grip our mice as well, and so I think it makes sense to separate this list into different categories. There are of course some common traits and specs that all of the top mice out there share, for example being lightweight, having tight clicky buttons with minimal play, and of course a modern sensor. So let's start with the best ergonomic gaming mouse, that is an asymmetrical design optimized for right-handed users, and I've got to give this to the Xtrfy M4. Now making an ultra lightweight gaming mouse is a challenge in itself, but doing that with a medium to large shell and without it feeling hollow and unbalanced, that's something Xtrfy have executed really well with the M4. Personally, I don't really like ergonomic style mice, I prefer symmetrical ambidextrous instead, but the M4 is the first ergo mouse that doesn't feel like an overly large hollow shell for me personally. I think one reason for that is that the main mouse buttons are quite low, leaving you with a really natural feeling shape, especially for claw grip users like myself. You've got a range of colors, my personal favorite is this vivid blue and black two-tone model, and you also have some RGB illumination around the front of the mouse for something a bit different. You can also cycle through the range of lighting effects with the top button. Big thumbs up to the buttons here, they feel light and crisp with very minimal wobble and play. It's also using the best PixArt sensor on the market right now, the 3389, and DPI can be cycled through the hidden button on the bottom. The cable is okay here, it's not super light, but it's definitely good enough if you are using a mouse bungee. I'll leave a link to the one that I use in the description. So if you're looking for an ergonomic style gaming mouse, the Xtrfy M4 is highly recommended. But now let's talk about the best wireless gaming mouse out there for those of you who want to cut the cord and have a truly tether-free gaming experience. And I've got to say, Razer have really knocked it out of the park here with the Viper Ultimate. Weighing in at just 74 grams, this makes it the lightest wireless gaming mouse on the market, and it does that without utilizing a honeycomb shell. And for those of you still on the fence on using a wireless gaming mouse for competitive play, you really shouldn't be. The latency difference between a wired and wireless signal on these newer mice is so minimal that it's truly impossible to notice. The other thing that's quite surprising on the Viper Ultimate is the insane battery life, which is rated for up to 70 hours of continuous playtime, and that's not including the time that the mouse just sits on the desk in sleep mode, only the time that the sensor is truly in use. I'm a big fan of the charging dock as well. Once a week you can just leave it docked and charging overnight, and that'll give you enough charge for 1 to 2 weeks use. The RGB illumination can also be completely hidden, which is pretty neat, giving you a super stealthy design, which I personally prefer. It is a medium-sized mouse with an ambidextrous design, and it is a fairly flat mouse with no real pronounced hump or shape. I'd say this mouse is perfect for fingertip grip users or those with small to medium hands. If you have larger hands and you prefer the base of your palm as a point of contact like myself, you honestly might have some difficulty adapting to this shape, mainly due to the fairly low rear end of the mouse. The main mouse buttons are actually optical switches, which technically have the lowest input delay out there, so big thumbs up to Razer for trying something different. But I will say that the buttons themselves leave quite a bit to be desired, with a bit more pre-travel than I'd like at this price point. Scroll wheel also has quite a bit of resistance. Still though, I would consider this the ultimate wireless mouse at the moment. Although it's not a perfect fit for me personally, feature-wise you really cannot beat it. The Viper Ultimate is quite expensive though at $150 US, so if you want that delay-free wireless experience without paying that much money, I'll also give an honorable mention to the Logitech G305. For a long time this was actually my main mouse until I moved on to trying some more premium options, but at around $60 currently, you definitely will not find a better wireless gaming mouse at this price point. Just keep in mind that it's a pretty small mouse that favors claw grip and fingertip grip users. But let's say you want something a lot lighter, just something that you can aim effortlessly with, and I would kind of persuade most people to avoid this sector of mice because they are quite small and they only fit a smallish group of users. But if you do insist that you really want a small, ultra lightweight gaming mouse, you really can't look past the glorious Model O-. At just 58 grams, this thing feels incredibly surreal to play with, almost just like nothing is in your hand, especially when tracking targets and doing fast flicks. Build quality is pretty exceptional too, light clicks with a very nice scroll wheel, definitely no complaints here at all. Again though, it is a really small mouse with not much height or mass to it at all, so I'd only recommend grabbing this if you have hands on the smaller end or if you prefer a fingertip grip. In other words, only your fingertips are the point of contact on the mouse and the base of your palm does not touch the mouse at all. I know a lot of users will jump to buying the ultra lightweight Model O-, but don't let it persuade you too much. This mouse is only for a select group of users. The next category is one of my personal favorites because I always love following up with professional players and seeing what gear they're using. And so this category is what the majority of professional CSGO, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six Siege players are using. And this goes to the Logitech G Pro Wireless. For a long time, this was considered the best wireless gaming mouse of all time due to the 80-gram weight, the delay-free wireless connection, and the premium build quality. In fact, among all of the gaming mice that I've tested, I would say the G Pro Wireless has the best build quality on the market in terms of switches and scroll wheel, and also the matte coating that's pretty much perfect for those long gaming sessions. It's a pretty close call between this and the Razer Viper Ultimate, but I do honestly feel like the majority of users will prefer the Viper Ultimate overall. Still though, this deserves a solid recommendation as it's still the first choice among professional players. Now it's time for the best all-rounder gaming mouse that I've come across, and keep in mind that this doesn't necessarily make it better than the previous options that I've mentioned, but if you're in a position where you just want a well-built, lightweight mouse with a safe shape that will fit the majority of grip styles and hand sizes out there, you really can't look past the G-Wolves Hearty. Coming in at 60 grams and around $75 US, this mouse is an easy recommendation for the majority of users. It shares a lot in terms of design and shape with the Logitech G Pro Wireless, but at around half the price. The cord is also super light, so if you're using a bungee, you can get pretty close to that wireless gaming experience. The clicks feel nice and premium here too, really nice and light, very minimal pre-travel and side play. Now the reason this gets my vote for the best all-rounder is due to the extremely safe shape, the medium size, coupled with premium features like an exceptionally light cord and lightweight design. 90% of hand sizes will be able to adapt to this mouse one way or another and aim really well with it. Now some of you are probably wondering what I'm personally using after having tried so many gaming mice, and oddly enough it's not actually on this list, and that is the Endgame Gear XM1, a mouse that I've been using for about 4 months now, and during that time I feel like my aim has truly improved. The main reason that I've kept this mouse on my desk is due almost entirely to the shape. I like to hold my mouse with a claw grip, that's what feels most intuitive and comfortable for me personally, and I find the XM1 not only accommodates this grip but also encourages it with tapered sides, low main buttons, and a nice support at the back. All mouse buttons feel light and crisp with zero pre-travel or wobble, but unfortunately the scroll wheel has gotten pretty bad over time. Out of the box, the XM1 also comes with a really thick, heavy rubber cable, which is absolutely necessary to swap out for a paracorded cable like you see here, and the stock mouse feet are also way too thin and scratchy. I'd recommend swapping those out for something thicker with a better glide. So those are my top gaming mouse picks for the end of the year and moving into 2020. It's really crazy how we're seeing a lot of these affordable companies and affordable mice just around the $50 to $60 mark come in and really put pressure on those big companies like Logitech and Razer. Companies like Glorious and Xtrfy, for example, are just making really great gaming mice for the money. So if you are interested in any of these picks, you can find them linked down below in the description. As always, a huge thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.